the black dollar has to become as selfish as everybody else's dollar. For example, the Chinese dollar never touches a black hand. It never touches a black hand. European Jewish dollar never touches a black hand. The East Indian dollar never touches a black hand. Those dollars are loyal to the people who own them. Now, in total contradiction of that, the black dollar hates the person who owns it. Follow me now. The Anglo-Saxon dollar loves the person who owns it. The black dollar hates the person who owns it. So the minute the black dollar is in the black hand, it's trying to jump into the hand of someone who's not black. So the dollars in our community circulate less than one time. Less than one full cycle does the black dollar take before it leaves our community. And a part of that is due to the fact we do not have a cultural code of loyalty. Black people do not have a cultural code of loyalty. Mexicans have it. That's why Mexicans will support other Mexicans before they go outside the community. They're supposed to. That's not racism. That's intelligence. That's why European Jews will support other European Jews. The Jewish dollar will circulate about 38 times before it leaves the Jewish community. That's not racism. That's intelligence. And why is it intelligence? The first law of existence is self-preservation. The first law of existence is self-preservation.
Here you go.
So the European knows that. The Anglo-Saxon knows that. The Arab, the Chinese, they understand that if I want to make sure my grandchildren's eat. Let me say that again. I want to make sure my grandchild's grandchild can eat off of my money. In order to make sure my grandchild's grandchild can eat off of my money, I have to keep my money in my community. Black people don't have that type of vision or loyalty. And one of the reasons we don't have that type of vision or loyalty is because slavery snatched out our culture and our loyalty to one another and replaced it with religion. Now, let me be clear. I am not anti-religious. My father was Muslim. My mother is Christian. Nothing's wrong with the Quran. Nothing's wrong with the Bible. Nothing's wrong with Islam. Nothing's wrong with Christianity. But what is wrong is taking a people's 350,000-year-old culture and switching it out for a 2,000 and 1,500-year-old religion. And so we are the only people in the country who identify with religion above their culture. Nobody identifies with religion above culture except blacks. So when we hemorrhage our economics, we don't feel bad about it. You know why? Because we are all God's children, black, white, red, and brown. This is how Negroes think. Nobody else thinks this way, only Negroes. So if I go and give the Koreans $30 billion a year on weave, perm, and beauty products, let me say this again. If I give the Koreans $30 billion a year on weave, perm, and beauty products, nothing about that makes me feel bad, even though I'm practicing economic disloyalty. $30 billion a year to the Koreans is economic disloyalty. Why? Where were the Koreans when George Floyd got murdered? Where were the Koreans when Breonna Taylor got murdered? Where were the Koreans when Trayvon Martin got murdered? Where were the Koreans when Tamir Rice got murdered? So you are investing in the economic destiny of a people that cares nothing about your own. That's financial betrayal. You will know when black people are ready for liberation and resurrection, because let me explain something. There must be a resurrection before there can be a liberation. Dead people can't get free. Dead people cannot be part of a freedom struggle. So black people have to be spiritually resurrected before we can be politically liberated. I want to be clear. And part of the spiritual resurrection of African people includes psychological reconstruction. We need a re-Africanization process that feeds the spiritual liberation.
I love it, bro. Yo, put some fire in the chat right now for Dr. Umar, y'all. I know y'all ready for Saturday. Put some fire in the chat right now for Dr. Umar, spitting nothing but quality bars.
And let me say this piece.
Yes.
Just like in the conscious community, we always talk about black people need to join an organization. You always hear about organization. But the contradiction in asking every black person to join an organization lies in the fact that the organizations do not collaborate with one another. The organizations do not communicate with one another. The organizations do not conversate with one another. So when we go to the business community and we ask black people to be loyal to black businesses, we then have to ask black businesses, are they loyal to other black businesses? Because what I find as I travel the country is there is a petty, intense, although often unspoken, competition between black businesses when the truth of the matter is, if y'all work together, you will make more together than you ever could apart. For example, how did the communities take over the hair care industry? The Koreans took over the hair care industry because the barbershops and beauty salons were not cooperating and collaborating. That's how they took over. They took over black hair care the same way the white man took over Africa. How did the white man take over Africa? The African kingdoms were not communicating and collaborating. Communicating means what? We're talking to each other. Collaborating means what? We're working with each other. We have to communicate and collaborate. It just can't be talk. It got to be work. Communicate and collaborate. So one of the things that needs to be discussed on Saturday is how do the businesses there create a uniform system whereby they can trap the black dollar amongst them. So for example, that's what we hear for 25 businesses.
That's what we hear for, Dr. Umar.
Exactly. If there's 25 businesses, that means the black dollar should be circulating 25 times. If there's 50 businesses, that means the black dollar should be circulating 50 times.
It's 100.
If there's 100 businesses,
it's 100.
That means the black dollar should be circulating 100 times. You know why? Because it should have been spent at the barbershop. It should have been spent at the black nail salon. It should have been spent at the black sneaker store. It should have been spent at the black apparel store. It should have been spent at the massage parlor. It should have been spent at the candle shop. It should have been spent at the oil factory. It should have been spent at the auto salon. You see? So however many businesses you got, that's how many times the dollar should be circulating before it leaves. And if it's only circulating 10, instead of 25. If it's only circulating 20 instead of 50. If it's only circulating 50 instead of 100, do you know what that means? That means that there's black businesses that are not doing enough to push the other businesses.
Got you. Got you. That's why collaborating is one of the models that we got to say collaborate over competition. And the reason my brother Corey is my partner Corey, and I consider him my OG, right?
Yes,
I feel like every young brother should have an OG that could keep them spiritually in line and keep them humble.
Sir. Absolutely.
So, I met Corey about 5 years ago, and I want to speak about this a little. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because when it comes to the OGs, I find it a problem with them. Sometimes they turn into gatekeepers for the next generation, right? Sometimes they don't embrace. Sometimes the OGs don't embrace my energy, right? Because I represent the youth. I represent the young business owners out here that's out here really that's getting that online money and offline money, you know. So it's a lot of young people that are entrepreneurs, but they're not getting accepted by the OGs. They're not passing the baton. The people who got the brick and mortars, we're in the brick and mortar right now. His kids work here. So when I met him, he was doing something called Black Wall Street Resurrection. And then I said, bro, that's cool, but I like melanin. So we mixed it up and we turned this thing into a melanin market. And he embraced my energy. And I love that for him, but I haven't received that type of energy from a lot of different OGs. What's up with the gatekeeper vibes with the OGs, Dr. Umar?
Absolutely. What happens, the older we get, the more conservative we become. Because the older we get, the less idealistic we are and the less radical we become. And so the older we get, we drift back into what's expected. We drift back into the status quo. And it's all about the relationships that we have built with good people and bad people. Because in order for me to live out the rest of my life comfortably, I need to protect the relationships I have. So the older we become, the more protective we become and selfish we become about ourselves, because we see the biological time clock is ticking. So rather than push against the grain, let me fall back, stop challenging the mayor. Let me fall back, let me stop challenging the status quo. Because here's the problem. Black elders and soon to be elders, the reason they get conservative and turn into gatekeepers. So the very system they fought, they now join it. The very system they fought in their 30s and 40s, they join it in their 50s and 60s. But I'm going to tell you why. Why? And this is on the youth.
Okay.
The Black community is one of the only communities that does not have a retirement program or revolutionary pension system for its freedom fighters. Our freedom fighters die broke. Our freedom fighters die in the old folks' home. We can run down the names. Everybody from Grandmaster Teacher, Dr. Yusuf Ben Yakinen. You understand? We can look at Dr. John Henry Clark. We can look at Ivan Van Sertima. And even when you come over to popular freedom fighters like a Malcolm X and a Dr. King and a Fred Hampton, who looked after their widows and their children after they died? We put nothing in place to help Betty Shabazz take care of Malcolm's daughters after he was gone. We put nothing in place to help Coretta take care of those children after he was gone. We put nothing in place to help Fred Hampton's queen take care of Fred Hampton Jr. after he was gone. We do not honor and protect the people who sacrificed for us. They died dead and broke. So the freedom fighters, when they get 50 and 60 and they start developing the diseases that come with age, they get conservative because they say, I know the state of Pennsylvania. I know the state of Georgia. I know the state of California. I know the state of Texas has a little retirement thing. They got a little SSI. They got a little insurance. What the Black community got. What the Black community got. I've given you my youth. I've given you my youth. I gave you 18 to 38. And now you want me to give you 38 to 98. I'm not going to do that. So what we got to do is put a system in place that provides retirement and a degree of comfort for our elders so they can stay on the front line and not have to sell out to prevent from going homeless.
Come on, bro.
Go ahead, teach, brother.
Teach.